All right, Demon Clung, Archer Monologues. This is June 9th, 2020. A few words on a current issue. Just read an article about a woman who I believe maybe a senator or something. I'm not sure. Didn't care enough to find out. A person in the news, some woman of some status, made a comment, something like, "Here, people just never cease to amaze me or befuddle me." So the woman says that George Floyd was a horrible human being. This character assassination thing is all too common today. I'm really quite fed up with it. Number one, it doesn't matter. Wait a minute. Black Lives Matter, all lives matter, whatever the fuck. So the thing that bothers me here is somebody is saying, "Oh, that's not nice," and then someone else is saying, "Yeah, you know." Okay, so he was a horrible human being. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. That's beside the point. That does not justify the cops, the scum of the earth, murdering him. Nothing justifies murdering him. And the fact that we have witnesses. We have a video that shows a horrible, horrible murder. We've watched this cop monster murdering somebody on video. We have video. It's been on social media. It's all over the news. We watched the murder of a human being. The fact that he may have been a horrible human being, or whatever that means, is beside the point. He was murdered in plain sight, in broad daylight, in front of witnesses. And we have a recording, meaning even more witnesses. It's, I mean, what the fuck? There isn't any debate here. We saw the man murdered. We saw the man who murdered him murdering him. We saw 3 other cops complicit in that murder. At least 2 of those other cops were holding him down while he was murdered. There's not even a need for defining this. He was fucking murdered. A human being. Good, bad, right, wrong, horrible, or whatever. He was murdered. And he was handcuffed on the ground, murdered. There's no debate here. There's no discussion necessary. There's not even let's have due process. Let's have a trial for the murderer. Well, we know the outcome of that. Guilty. Now, what concerns me here is that there's going to be a not guilty verdict. And as someone said, rightfully, I think, if you think it's bad now, wait till the verdict comes in of not guilty against this man who is obviously guilty. Yeah. What do you think's going to happen then? You think looting and rioting and all that, destruction of property and picketing and protesting and all that shit, You think that was bad last week? Wait till you see what happens when they let this bastard go. When they let him off. Oh, they might just make a martyr out of him or something. Like, oh, that's just to set an example. And, actually convict this guy of something. I'm sorry. Murder's murder. You did it. And you got millions of people witnessed it. Either live or on video. I'm sorry. There's no question here. I'm pretty sure that video was not doctored. Which, of course, it was possible to have such a thing done. I mean, you could have video of a fictional event. I mean, we've all seen what Photoshop can do. But this wasn't Photoshop, was it? We saw a man murdered by some cops. Cops are evil. Cops murder people. As I understand it, a statistic I just read not too long ago, somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 Americans a year are murdered by fucking cops. And I don't think I've read anything about how 1,000 murderers who happen to be cops were actually put in prison because of it. Not one. Not one. I see a lot of times where some cop, was, you shot the guy in the back for no reason. Well, yeah, you had a reason, but it wasn't a good one. And, no charges filed against cop. Time and again and again and again, day after day after day. That's 1,000 a year. This past year, 2,000 something, really. 1,000. That's like 3 a day or so. 3 people every day in America murdered by fucking cops. Yes, I'm angry. I'm angry because this is just, oh yeah, news as usual. No big deal. Nobody does anything. Oh yeah, and so somebody actually, let's protest. And it gets kind of out of hand because, maybe there's some instigators that were infiltrated into the protest that actually broke some windows and, set some fires and shit. And then there were some criminal elements that said, let's take advantage of this situation and steal a TV out of a Target store. Yeah, well, that's not the point, is it? Yeah, I would say if you're looting a store in Minneapolis or whatever as a part of a protesting thing, because they're really angry because, cops are murdering people, particularly black people, actually brown, whatever. And so, yeah, what do you expect? I mean, seriously, what the fuck did you expect? You think you were just going to keep on murdering people forever and get away with it forever? Sooner or later, people are going to start thinking, hey, we're not going to put up with this shit. You're going to stop murdering us, damn it. Or else. Ironically enough, I haven't seen any cops being murdered live on Facebook. Yeah, I know some cops have been shot or whatever. There was a cop, a retired cop or whatever, outside of a store somewhere. He was apparently guarding the stores against looters, and, somebody drove by or something and shot him, I guess. I don't know. I didn't read the details. Okay, that's one. What did the man do to deserve to be murdered? The cop I'm talking about. What did he do? Did he actually murder any people during the course of his cop career? I don't know, maybe. Did he rape anybody? Yeah, we've heard about cops raping people. So, there's some little bit of irony in there somewhere. At any rate, the point is, you don't murder people just because they're horrible people. I mean, unless they're trying to murder you, in which case you can kill them in self-defense, I suppose. Yeah? Self-defense is still a legal thing. You have the right to defend yourself against, murderers. Which leads me to say, we saw it on the video, so who hasn't? Who in America hasn't seen that video? Let me think. Is it safe to say millions of people have witnessed the murder of George Floyd? And how about the people that were there? Now, this is my point. This is a point. Another point. A very important point. There were people there watching this happen. There were people, Americans, standing there in the area. In fact, someone videotaped the murder of George Floyd on their cell phone and then put it on social media. Think about this. There were people there watching a murder and did nothing to stop the murder. Explain to me, if you will, what's wrong with people? Yeah, because it is the duty of every American citizen to at least try to stop murder. If you're standing around watching someone being murdered by a cop and you do nothing, you're complicit in that murder. Oops. Yeah, I'm angry about that. I saw this cop murder this man. I'm angry. I'm going to protest. I'm going to march in the streets. I'm going to break some windows or something. Really? I'm sorry. The time for being angry was when it was happening. The time for action was when it was happening. Stop the cop from murdering somebody. It's your duty as a citizen. It is your obligation as a human being. I'm just going to stand here and watch this man being murdered, and then I'm going to be upset about it later. Yeah? Really? You're pathetic. There is a principle of law in America that says if you witness someone murdering someone, you have to stop them. You have to do something to stop it. Something. Now, the degree to which you act to stop it might be a personal choice. It might be a decision you have to make on the spur of the moment because, you're just wandering around minding your own business and, going about your business, walking down the street or whatever, and you see something criminal happening. And you say, well, it might not be in my best interest to actually stand in front of a cop who has a gun pointing at people and just say, stop pointing your gun at that guy. You might get shot. Let's not be stupid here. But in a country that supposedly respects the right of self-defense and supposedly respects the right of every citizen to protect and defend the rights of everyone else. Novel idea there, but it is a principle. The fact is, somebody, we all have the right to keep and bear arms. I know there are like 60,000 laws saying we can't, but, fuck that, because that's wrong. For one thing, the Second Amendment says you can't have those laws. So anyway, basically, you have a right to carry a gun, and you have a right to use it to defend yourself, and perhaps defend other people that are being murdered. What I want to know is, how come nobody, and all of these people witnessing this murder in broad daylight by a fucking cop, how come nobody put out a gun and said, hey, stop, or I'm going to shoot you in the face, motherfucker? Seriously. What? I'm going to be all indignant later, but right now I'm just going to stand here and watch you do it. I think there are historical examples of that happening, like in Germany. And I'm not saying, all German people are bad, because a lot of German people during World War II and, the Nazi era, they were like, just, I didn't know anything was going on. I don't know how you didn't know, seeing as how some of your neighbors were dragged off, in the middle of the night at gunpoint by the Gestapo and the Stasi, whatever, and taken off and put on trains and shit. How did you not know? Unbelievable. But at any rate, examples. Oh, yeah, we knew that the German Nazi fuckers were like murdering freaking Jews, but hey, what could I do? I don't know. Be a human being and do something. Now, to be fair, there were human beings that actually did something to help save some Jews and so on. We've heard about it. We've heard about people that actually risked their lives to help save people. Not just Jews, but people. Human beings. The fact that they were Jews is irrelevant. Sort of. There were actually people that had ways of like smuggling Jewish people out of the danger zone and so forth. So, good people. Heroes. Why? Why is that an exception and not a rule of human behavior? Save people who are in danger of being murdered by bad people. So, okay. So this woman says, George was a horrible human being. And, so is it fair that we can say that cop, I'm not even going to mention his name. You know his name. You've heard it on the news a billion times already. Is it not only fair to say that, but is it fair to say that cop was a horrible human being and still is? And he's guilty of murder and he should be, I hate to say anything about, because I have my opinions about prisons and stuff. But do you think maybe he should pay the price? Should there not be consequences for murdering someone in broad daylight in front of witnesses? Seriously. People boggle the mind. So here we have, a murderer. And I have yet to hear anybody call him a horrible person. I have yet to hear a senator say, hey, that cop's a horrible person. You're a horrible human being. Well, he is. And we know it. There's no question. There's no doubt. There's no debate here. Murdered someone, broad daylight. Had 3 people helping him do it. Oh, yeah, he's been arrested, blah, blah, blah. The problem, one of the things about that, what about the other 999 cops that murdered somebody in this country in the last year? Well, are they in jail? Any of them? Wouldn't you think that would be like the news? I would see that. He was not charged. No charges will be brought against the cop that murdered that woman in her home. And they give you examples of that. And this other guy that was choked to death and so on, whatever. Murder. They got away with it. Ha! And that's okay? That's okay with you? What kind of pathetic, disgusting human being are you? And I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say this, but, if you're standing around, mind your own business, and you see somebody choking someone to death, you should, and I hear that there were people that actually said, stop, get off him, But, words are cheap. Yeah, get off him. Stop doing that. Yeah. Well, he didn't stop. So obviously you're saying stop that, didn't stop that. So you're saying it didn't do shit. It's time that the American people, stand up, stand their ground, defend themselves and their fellow human beings, even if they are horrible. And, I would expect any human being, particularly in America, I would expect any decent human being in America to do something. If we saw, a bad guy murdering a cop. And, we've had examples of that recently and over the years. Oh, but the cop was a horrible human being. He deserved to die by some, bank robber that shot him on the way out of the bank one day or whatever. Or some cop gets shot as he was approaching a car along the side of the road that he had stopped because, the guy was speeding or something. Well, that's, I'm going to pull you over and, I'm going to give you a ticket for speeding. And, oh, bam, he gets shot in the face by the driver. No, that's not okay either. Because that's murder. So what I'm saying is murder is not okay. Doesn't matter. Horrible person or not. And just for the record, I think that it's perfectly, well, not perfectly okay, but it is allowed that if you see someone murdering someone, you're allowed to do something to stop them. Like shoot them in the face if they don't stop. And why the other cops why did they let him do this? Why did these other 3 cops actually aid and abet the murderer? They're like, I'll just let you do it because, you're a cop. And we are cops too, and we love cops because we're cops. Scum of the earth. Gestapo, Nazis, fascists. Oh, by the way, let's be clear on this. Every cop in America belongs to the same club. Every one of them. There are no exceptions. I can't imagine a cop anywhere in the world in America, who hasn't at some point in his career as a cop committed a crime. Maybe not murder. Here's a crime for you. Think about this crime. Arresting a prostitute. Yeah, because prostitution is not a crime. I know there are laws making it illegal. I'm big on defining words properly and accurately, but legal, illegal, crime, not crime, victimless crime. And then there are things that are just normal human behavior that are not a crime in the principal definition of the word crime. You can make a law. You can just make up a law. They make up laws all the time. There are millions of laws in this country just made up by some idiots or, bad guys or government or political, legislators, whatever. You just make up shit. Like, let's put a number on the age of consent and just say, the age of consent is like 18. Let's just make it up. By the way, the age of consent and the age of being an adult in the legal sense in America used to be 21. In fact, it was in my lifetime. I was alive back in those days. Yep, I'm that old. Where actually you had to be 21 to vote, 21 to drink alcohol, 21 to do a lot of things. Before that, you were not adult. You were a younger than adult person. Seriously. And they changed it. They said, okay, we'll change the voting age to 18. We might as well just change the age of adulthood to 18. And then recently, within the last several years, they've changed the meaning of words like child. Now that means, anyone under 18, which of course is not true. And it's just fabricated. Fabricate and something. It's not real. It's not true. It's not valid. Some might say it wasn't even legal. To establish an age, like, oh, you're a legal adult at 18. You can actually agree to have sex when you're 18. You can actually, allow someone to take your picture naked when you're 18. But these other legal adults who are 18, 19, and 20 can't buy or consume alcohol? Wait a minute. If you're 18 and you can't drink alcohol, but you can vote, you can go into the military and murder people in foreign countries? 18 is the number. So, if you're 18, you have every right that a 22-year-old has, or a 40-year-old has. The right to do what every other adult does, because you're a legal adult. You can't say, oh, you're an adult, but nah, not quite. And nobody sees the problem with that. What befuddles me about that is we got all these 18, 19, and 20-year-old people, human beings, adults, legally adults, who can't buy beer, alcohol, and yet they're adults. So here's the principle. You probably don't know this if you haven't had a civics class in your life. Do they even teach civics anymore? That would be sad if that's the case. But, equal under the law. It's a principle of America. It's a principle of freedom. Equal under the law. That means the government cannot treat you differently than any other person in the country. Can't discriminate against you based on the fact that you're, a certain age. So the legal system in America says you're an adult at 18. That means you have the same rights and can exercise. You have the same rights as every other human being because you were born with them. Duh. But you can exercise those rights freely as you choose. And one of those is the right to consume alcohol if you damn well want to. Because you're an adult, like a 28-year-old or a 40-year-old. You cannot discriminate, government. You cannot discriminate against people based on their age. It's a crime. You cannot discriminate against someone because that's not equal, is it? Equal under the law. So why do all these college-age people who have every right to do what they want to do as adults, why are they not allowed to buy a beer or buy a bottle of Mogat David or whatever? Why? And why did they put up with this? It's obviously wrong. It's obviously a crime against them. And it's obviously not allowed in a country that says equal under the law. You're not equal, are you? You're an adult, but you're not allowed to be an adult when it comes to buying, alcohol. Really? This is not a problem? This is not an issue? This is not something worthy of protest? I would think every person under the age of 21 would be marching in the streets saying, we want beer, until they get it, until their rights are respected, till the law is saying they can't buy beer or consume beer or whatever, until those laws are repealed, period, forever, because it's called freedom, and it's called respect for people, and it's called equal under the law. All right, so here, that's an extra bonus point for the other subject of alcohol and being an adult, which is what you're allowed to be. The law, duh. So you get my point about this? Calling someone a horrible human being does not excuse them being murdered. Sorry. Just doesn't work that way. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. I had a few things to say there. That's my morning rant. So you people think about all this and, spread this. Spread this around. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to share this audio, this podcast, with everybody. Put it on your media. Put it on your social media. Put it on your Facebook, whatever. Share it with your friends. Share it with strangers. I don't care. Share it with everybody. Okay? Get the message out, because what I'm telling you needs to be heard. You need to think about this. You need to come to a conclusion that's rational, logical, sane, and decent. All right, wrapping it up. D. McClung, Archer Monologues. Catch you next time.